Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another podcast episode of the Social Selling Sisterhood. I am here with Magdalena, and I am so excited for you guys to hear about your journey, or her journey, rather. And we've just been chatting for a few minutes, and she's already pretty interesting. She's got some pretty interesting stories. So I can't wait for you guys to meet her. So, Magdalena, thank you so much for your time and being on the show.
I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yes, you're so welcome. Okay, Magdalena, first of all, tell us where you're coming in from because I'm in the United States and you are currently where?
I'm in the Netherlands, so I'm close to Amsterdam.
What
So
time is it there for you?
it's almost midnight.
Oh my gosh, I just realized that. I'm like it's like 11:30, I think. Like, oh my
Yes, it is. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. I'm used to
god.
it.
Oh,
When you
yeah,
are in
good.
Europe and you get so many connections in the US, you're like, okay, it's fine. Don't worry
You're a
about
night
it.
and you're a night owl now. Well, thank you so much for staying up late to chat with us. I appreciate it. So one of the things I'm super excited about, guys, is Magdalena was a ICU nurse and she's still a nurse, but she's not currently working that. So Magdalena, tell us who you are, your journey and what you're currently doing and how you got there and just all the things I want to hear.
Okay. Well, it's like it has been a wild ride for the last 2 years. So I I used to be an ICU nurse, and like in my heart, I still feel I am, but I haven't worked in the ICU for over a year, so I think I technically can't say I'm anymore. But okay, so I was working in the ICU, and I got really frustrated with the way that everything was managed, and I didn't understand all the decision making. So I decided I wanted to get a master's degree and learn more about management and economics and stuff like that. So I went on researching all kinds of master degrees, and I found one that was like really perfect, but it was in Italy, and I'm from the Netherlands. So I convinced my a very kind husband that I really, really wanted to go there, and he was okay with it. So we decided to take then 2 years off, and then having so I could study well in Italy and do all the things and be a student again. And we were looking for houses, but we have two dogs, so it was really hard. And we decided to live in our RV. So we moved into an RV, moved to Italy, and then we planned to like go to the like in the time that I had to go to the university, we would stay in the city of close to the city of Bologna because that was the university's place, and then the rest of the time we will be traveling. Uh, yeah, and it was like a really nice picture, but then of course COVID hit, and that really sucked because the university closed, and we planned to get jobs there, and we couldn't find anything. And the first time we lived on our savings, and then we went back to the Netherlands, and I started working on the ICU again. Um, and in the meantime, we a kind of like my husband and I together started our own company, and it's like a Pinterest management company. And it's like I found it at some random thread in Facebook that you could earn money managing other people's Pinterest accounts, and I was like, okay, I need to do this because this sounds amazing. And things got out of hand, and it grew way too fast, and like there were so many opportunities, and I had so much fun. And I actually replaced my income from the ICU pretty fast. And that's when we decided, okay, yeah, we're actually like, we don't have to come back to the Netherlands to actually earn money again. And that was crazy because we never planned on doing this at all. So, and that's kind of how I ended up here. Sorry, my dog is waking up. Um,
You're fine. Oh my gosh,
yeah,
you have literally the coolest story ever.
it's wild.
It is. You just kept talking because at first you were like Italy for university, and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so like I studied abroad in Spain a couple times, and I'm like, oh, I would love to go back and study. And then you said you couldn't find housing, so you were like RV. I'm like, that's so smart. And then I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, wait, okay, so I've been around Europe. I don't think I've ever seen an RV. So like, are there RV campgrounds? Like, where do you park your
Yeah.
RV? Okay, okay.
Yeah, yeah. It's kind of like it's a way smaller than it is in America. So in the
Mhm.
US, you have this whole like culture around it, and
Right.
here in Europe, it's more like a van life and people
Yeah.
parking in small spots. But actually, like in France and Italy and Spain, you have really nice dedicated areas where you can park and you get water and everything, and that's actually really nice. Yeah.
Wow, that's like I had no idea. So, okay, so then there was that, and then you went all the way to Bologna and the university closed, and I'm just like, "Oh my gosh, you had to be devastated." And then I remember seeing, I mean, obviously I wasn't there, but I remember seeing coverage of Italy on the news and how bad it was. So I can't imagine like how scary a time that was for you just with like pandemic, also living mobily, don't have university, just like
Yeah, it was really nuts. So we were actually we were actually really lucky that we had our home on wheels because we were traveling from region to region and everything was closing behind us. So we were just like fleeing from the biggest restrictions because in Italy the restrictions were actually really heavy. So compared to other countries in Europe, they were very strict and the police was outside and really guarding. So it was like very different from what I was used to, at least in the Netherlands. Yeah, so that was hard. But on the other hand, our mobile home gave us like the freedom to move away and
Ah,
also to be in places where there was no one around. So we
yeah,
were in nature and we could just walk for hours and we were just
we can
fine. So
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like how lucky, that those circumstances stacked up for you, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
it really couldn't have been a better, especially now that you found your own thing through a Facebook ad out of, like, all so was that like a course or something you took, or what did that look like? How did you go about
No,
learning how to do this?
I think like I'm really into financial things, like financial independence and stuff like that. And I think I was like in that Facebook group, and somebody asked for other people's side hustles, and then somebody just commented there that she was a Pinterest manager, and she was saying, "There's so much work in this," and I was like, "How can this exist? Like, is this a thing?" And then I started researching and took a course, and like the ball started rolling. But it wasn't even somebody selling me anything. It was just like pure, I would say like accident, but
Yeah.
kind of feels like it's
It
not
was all
coincidence,
yeah, it was
right?
meant to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally believe it all happens for a reason, for sure. Okay, so you take this course and you start, like, playing around with it. How did you get your first clients?
So I got my first client by just reaching out to people. So in the beginning, like I'm not a big fan of cold pitching, but it actually worked really well for me. But I only cold pitch to clients that I would feel like they were a amazing fit. So like the love would pour out of my email. Um, and I also did some. I also found some clients on like a Facebook group, and I just went into Facebook groups and introduced myself, like, "Hey, I just started my Pinterest management business, etc. And if you have any questions, you can always come and find me." And actually, that worked. People actually reached out to me. It's like, "How this really works? This is happening." So I got, I think, one client from there, and also I think my very first client, I might have gotten it from Upwork because that's like a freelance platform. And I think, yeah, I think that was there. Yeah. And then we moved out of Upwork, but because we have been together for like working together for a pretty long time. But yeah, maybe like Upwork, Facebook, they were all kind of like at the same time.
Yeah, and now is it
Yeah.
just kinda word of mouth or
Yeah.
Mhm.
Referrals. And I now have my own courses.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
my own courses, so not just one. And so I get referrals from there. So people do the course and then they're like, okay, I'm not sure if I can do this myself. So we either like book a
Mhm.
strategy session or I take over the full work, or
Okay.
people just like that you have a course and then reach out to you like, oh, what service do you have? And yeah, so that has brought us like so much,
Mhm.
especially on like the whole authority building. Like people really start to see you as an expert,
Yeah,
which is
absolutely.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah, I love that. Like, I'm so fascinated by your story, and it's just so natural. Like, we did this, and then we got our first clients, and then you built your courses, I'm assuming, and then it just, your business just kept scaling.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so someone who's listening to this and they're like, I have a Pinterest, but I don't really use it, or I'm getting ready to start like diving into Pinterest. What are just a couple actionable tips that you're like, these are some things that you got to do for your Pinterest profile?
Okay. So I really like so the first thing is that you really want to make sure that you have your tag in place. So you want to claim the website on Pinterest, make sure that you are using like a handle that is making sense. Make sure that you have like everything connected on the back end. And it sounds really complicated, but depending like on what platform, what website, it doesn't have to be. And Pinterest has really good explanation on how to do this, but it will really help you because you get access to analytics, and then you can actually track whatever you're doing, just like with Instagram or Facebook. And you want to make sure that what you put out, that you get an understanding around if it's working. And with this, I also would like you really, if you want to be serious about Pinterest, you really need a business account. So you cannot use your personal account. You either have to transform it into a business account or create a new one. And what is super important, and a lot of people forget, is that you really need to understand your ideal client. So you really need to understand what are the pain points, what is my product. I'm assuming most people will be selling a product. How is that bringing a solution to my client, and how are they talking about it? So you don't want to use your own words. You want to make sure that you understand what words your clients are using, because Pinterest is a search engine. And like it's kind of like a search engine hidden as a social media platform, because you can give all the likes and everything. But in the end, your search engine optimization is the most important of everything. So that's why it's so important to understand your ideal client's language, because you want to know what search terms they are using in Pinterest, so in the search bar. And if you are using completely different words that are like closely related, you'll be missing all the relevant traffic. So you want to make sure that you are actually using the right terms. And that is a step a lot of people miss.
Yeah, yeah, that totally makes sense. And that's something that I get to be better about too. So, when you know what words they're using, are you wanting us to put those words like in like the caption, or where should we be utilizing that language?
Everywhere. So you want to use it in the profile description. So if you go to account settings, you can adjust not the handle, but your profile name. So you get like 40 characters or something. And then you can put, so for example, my name is Magdalena, and then it says, I think like Pinterest isn't allowed in there. So I have pin management and ads or something. I don't even know it by heart. That's actually not good. But forget this. But at least like you get a picture. And then you have also a description of your account and of your person. So this is a great place to show that you are reading their mind. So you are really, really pinpointing, like you're really clear on who you are serving. Because when people are reading this, they'll be like, oh, this is my girl. And that's important. And also, you can use them everywhere. So then you go and create boards. You have board titles, you can use the keywords there. You have board descriptions, you can use the keywords there. And then for every pin that you are pinning, you can put a pin title and a pin description, and you can use those keywords all over again. And what is really great is that Pinterest kind of has a build up. So the algorithm is reading the keywords that you are using, and in this, by reading this, it's going to categorize you, so it can easily understand who to show your pins to. And by being consistent in your profile and then again in your boards and then again in all the pins that you are pinning to your boards, you're really helping the algorithm understand how to categorize your content and who to show your content to.
And then how do you get more followers on Pinterest? Is it that keyword? Is it like, should we be going to people's boards and interacting or resharing? Like, how does that work?
Okay, that is a really good question. And first of all, I want to really, really stress that followers do not equal sales or conversions or anything. So this is not Instagram, this is not Facebook. And followers are nice, but they are absolutely not necessary to have a successful Pinterest account. So if you really want to grow your followers, you can, I really recommend ending in your emails. For example, if you do email marketing or on your website, like encourage people to follow you on Pinterest. And also just putting out engaging content. So pins that people like and that they will save to their board. If they will be saving pins from you multiple times, they very often also will start following you if they are really interested in the product. But I mean, like followers are a nice metric, but they are not really like the most important. Also because um, it is nice in one way that once you put out new content. So, for example, you pin 5 new pins. Pinterest will first share it to your followers, and then your followers will start engaging with it, or they won't. And this is the first index for Pinterest to understand, is this content relevant? And the more followers you have, um, like, okay, I need to explain this well. So the more followers you have, the better your chances are, of course. But at the same time, you want to grow it. So in some way, the followers are also kind of limiting you. So that's why I'm also always telling to my clients, like, don't focus too much on followers. It is nice to have it because for sure it makes you look legit. That is like, that's just, it's social proof and that's just the case. So that totally makes sense. But it's way more important to see whether you are seeing conversions that you are looking for on the back end, whether that's a newsletter sign up or add to carts or whatever you are calling to action to.
My phone my computer was, like, lagged, I couldn't unmute, sorry.
No worries.
I'm so glad you said that because I actually didn't know that, and I mean, that makes sense that you actually want the people repinning your things and clicking through and converting that way than followers, for sure. So basically, we get to create really awesome content is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay, now is there an amount of time you should be consistent? Or you
Yeah.
I mean
You mean like how much you want to pin and sorry, my
yeah,
dog is
or be on the platform. Oh, you're totally fine.
yeah, he decided he wants to sit next to me.
Aw.
Okay, so what I really recommend is like at least pin once a day, and you can just use a scheduler. So the Pinterest scheduler is fine, and you can schedule 14 days ahead. So if you sit down once every 2 weeks, you can schedule one pin for every day. That is the bare minimum. Like you won't see incredible results by doing this. If you decide, okay, Pinterest is the place where my customers are hanging out, and I think I can go big here, then you need to pin like between 10 and 15 times a day. And you want to make sure that every time you pin, you can, if you have, for example, a product that has a product page or a blog post that has their own blog page, you can post this multiple times. But you want to make sure that every time that you post this blog post through a pin, you have at least like 2 days between it. So, like 48 hours. And every time you are pinning it, you want to make fresh content. So you want to replace the background image or the main, like the most dominant color or something like this, or the fonts, or yeah.
Okay.
So does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. That's totally right. And I'm assuming this might sound like a silly question. I'm assuming it should be things related to our brand, right? Like if I start a board about RV travel and it has nothing to do with my brand, does that like count? Should I avoid doing anything off brand and like not use it for personal stuff? What's your take on that?
Okay, that's a good question. Um, like I'm learning so much by just your questions as well. This is so much fun. Okay,
Good.
um, so that is totally fine, but put that board on secret. Once you go to the board, you can click the three dots, and then you can turn it on secret mode. And in this way, the algorithm won't read it as connected to your brand. So it's hidden for the algorithm and also hidden for all the other people.
That's so
Um,
so I need to hide my hair ideas board.
yeah, probably, unless you are selling hair products.
I'm not, no, that's, like, my primary reason to go on Pinterest too, so
Yeah, I feel you.
which is so funny because I pretty much get the same thing every time I go anyway, but I still am, like, pinning all these ideas.
Yeah, yeah, a very, yeah, yeah, I'm the same.
Yep, okay, awesome, good,
Yeah.
I'm glad I'm not the only one. Okay, so I have a task to do tonight when we get off our call. For sure. Um, okay, so if we haven't been active on well, no, actually, I did have another question before I get to this one. You said earlier if your ideal client is hanging out on Pinterest, how do we know? Do you have any ideas for us?
What you can do is, at least what I do, like it, I don't have like a proven strategy. So what I know is it really depends on what kind of niche you're in. I have actually found that, like right now, I even have a client that is like in camping gear and travel, kind of like travel gear, but very alternative, and that's working too. So maybe everybody is on Pinterest. Like I'm not sure, but what I usually take as a rule of thumb is I go into Pinterest. I search for the main keyword of the product. So in this case, let's say camping gear,
Mhm.
and I just use a search bar, type camping gear, and then instead of all pins, it says all pins on the right next to the search term. I click on people. And then what I do is go and see if other people on Pinterest also have an account that's related to my content. See if they have views. See if they have followers. See if there's activity going on. And then I try this with different, um, so from different views. So I would say camping gear, and then I would say travel gear, road trip stuff. I don't know, like things like that. Better keywords than this, but like just and in this way I would research, okay, are other people on here, is this working? And maybe sometimes you don't find somebody that's directly in the same street as you are, but is doing something parallel. So for example, if you're doing hair products and you cannot find anything that's specifically that hair product, but you can find a lot of haircuts or hairstyle ideas, you might actually get lucky on Pinterest because a lot of people are coming to there for hair inspiration. So this is a way I kind of validate if people are interested in this. And what you can also do is, Pinterest has, um, I'm not sure if you can access this if you are not on the back end. I will go and check that because Pinterest has a pretty good idea of how the interests are divided over the general population on Pinterest. And I think you can actually see that. So if you go to your business account, yeah, if you go to your business account, click on Audience Insights, Analytics at the top, and Audience Insights. and then click all Pinterest. You can choose your own audience and then all Pinterest. And then I think you can actually see the distribution of all the interests on Pinterest. And then you can see women's fashion, but also things like camping gear, RVs, stuff like that, hair products, the whole shebang. And you can see how it's divided over Pinterest. So you can actually get a good idea if there is an audience for your product.
Oh, cool. That's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, those analytics, a lot of us forget to check that, but I feel like that's such a valuable thing to know if it's working, what's not, what to try. And that goes for every platform, guys. So if you don't have a business platform or account yet, definitely upgrade to get business accounts on different platforms. Okay, one last question because I don't like to go too long over a half an hour, and I know it's really late there, and we appreciate your
Don't
time.
worry. Don't worry. Don't worry. It's okay.
So say someone has had a personal account, they want to switch it to a business, or they haven't really been posting to their niche, but they're like, okay, after listening, I have a little bit better idea. I'm going to make some new boards, get going. Is it okay to kind of revamp, like, I want to say like a dead page, like one you haven't been active on? Should you create a new account? What's that look like?
No, you can just, if you have an inactive account, you can just revamp it.
Okay.
And you can even change the website and then claim the new website if you have changed your domains. I think you can no longer claim your Instagram, but if you have a YouTube channel, you can claim it. And you can completely revamp it without any issues. And
That's good.
it's actually nice because you already probably have some old followers, so your account already looks a little legit without being in the niche, but it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, that's not a problem at all.
Oh, I love that. It sounds so easy. I'm like, I don't
Yeah,
know why, it just seems like another platform, and then, it seems like so scary to dive into, but I'm like, this makes me really excited to go back on
yeah.
and
And
play around
it's way like it's so different from Instagram and Facebook because it doesn't require all the engagement.
right.
So you don't have to go, you can just go and sit, plan your content, and then schedule your content
Mhm.
and leave it be and just have the scheduler do the work for you.
That's so
And
nice.
if you are using the right keywords, and like you have to be patient because it's
Mhm.
just like Google, it takes forever to rank, and with Pinterest it takes 3 months to 6 months to get good results, so keep that in mind.
Yeah,
And
that's good.
that's also because the engagement doesn't matter as much as with Instagram and Facebook. But on the other hand, you get a lot of time back because you don't have to stress out on reacting to every comment and liking other people's posts and going into other profiles and finding your
Right.
clients there because they will be finding you if you are using the right keywords.
Do you find Pinterest ads are helpful, or does it kind of depend on the niche?
Oh, that depends on so many things.
Okay.
So I think like they can work for a lot of things,
Mhm.
but um, I like really only use ads if you know that you have a proven product. So if you have sold your product organically through the sales page or through the storefront that you're selling it from,
Mhm.
or the blog post if you are an affiliate marketer, but you really want to make sure that you know that the product is working before you start running ads. And that's
Yep.
something that I see happen a lot. So people are like, this is not happening fast enough, and let's just try and run some ads to it. But you are just testing the funnel, so you are not like getting sales. And so uh so yes, I
Yeah.
love
Oh,
ads
it
because I
depends.
do ads for my, yeah, I do
Mhm.
ads for my clients, and it's super fun and it can be really lucrative and it can really give you a good ROAS.
Mhm.
But you need to know that your product works, and you really, really need to know your ideal customer before you start doing this.
Yeah, that makes total sense. So very similar to Facebook ads and Instagram
Yeah,
ad. Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah.
Love it. Well, guys, I hope this has inspired you to give Pinterest a new look. If you have not been on your Pinterest in a while, or you have and you've been overwhelmed,
Mhm.
just take it one day at a time, one post at a time. Um, and break it down into baby steps. Like Magdalena said, start with, one post a day. It doesn't have to be 15. Schedule some stuff out. So maybe next time you're scheduling out your Instagram or Facebook posts, spend another 10 minutes, schedule out some Pinterest posts and see what happens. Cause it sounds like there's like a whole nother world out there that we're maybe not even hitting on. And we definitely should be doing it. So Magdalena, thank you so much. How can everyone find you? And guys, I'm going to put all this in the show notes so you can just click on it, but tell us where they can find you, take your course, work with you, all the things.
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram at Magdalena .pimprosper. And like, okay, so I am on Pinterest, so my Instagram is absolutely not what it should be. Uh, but I'm always in there. So I'm always in the DMs connecting with people. And also, you can find me on my website at pimprosper.com, and I have everything there. So I have a blog, and that's full of free resources about how to set up your business account and how to do keyword research, how to set up your boards. So if you feel overwhelmed, you can just like go through and see if like that really helps you. And over there, you can also see everything that I have to offer. So if you need any help, you can always feel free to reach out, because I'm always on Facebook or Instagram, or you can just email me from the website. And also, if you have any questions, because I really love like helping people out, so don't worry, you can always shoot me a message.
Yeah, and guys, Magdalena and I met in I was calling it a mastermind. It's not really a mastermind. I don't know what you call it. Like a small
Coaching
group.
group?
Yeah, coaching group that we are in that was all about creating your signature offers, which it sounds like Magdalena has hers down pat. And she just offered to be on our show as a host or as a guest and sharing all of her stuff with you guys and her time. And it's so late. So make sure you go over and give her some love on all the channels and tell her thank you and how much you love listening. And we really appreciate you, Magdalena. So thank
Yeah.
you again so
Thank
much.
you so much for having me and making the time to speak with me. It was so much
Of
fun.
course. Yes. Thank you. Happy 2022.
Yes, you too.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.